Welcome back to 20 Side Adventures. My name's Ryan. This is Summoner 101 in my Class Collegium series where I go through the basics of any class and give you tips, pointers, ideas of how they work and how to best build them. In this video for 101, we're going to be talking about the basic class chassis, which for the Summoner is a pretty complex class. You're going to be managing the special rules of your Eidolon, how you differentiate movement between them, shared HP pool, a unique spell progression and access to spells, and a wide variety of other nuances that are unique to the Summoner. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, please give a like and subscribe down below. Easiest way to support the channel, leave a comment. I do love chatting with you all, and if you guys are interested in what's happening at my table, head on over to my Substack where you can read detailed vignette-style stories about each adventure happening at my table. With no further ado, let's get into Summoner 101. All right, here we are, Archives of Nethys, great tool if you are new to Pathfinder. Everything that is mechanics related is free and available to you through Archives of Nethys. This includes mechanical things that even come out behind paywall in adventure paths and other things that Paizo sells. They do make their way to the archives, so check it out if you are new to Pathfinder and become very familiar with it. The Summoner's key stat is Charisma, so you are a Charisma-based caster. You get 10 hit points plus your con modifier, so you're going to be a little more robust than most anyone else that's wielding magic, and this has something to do because of your pet Eidolon that we'll get into in a little bit. Some key terms to be aware of within this class is the Eidolon, and the Eidolon refers specifically to the being that you are bound to, that is your summoned companion. Mechanically, this comes up that if something has the Eidolon trait, it can be only cast or utilized by an Eidolon. Evolutions are feats that specifically change the physical capabilities of your Eidolon, and tandem are a specific type of action trait, which, let me just stop there, I guess. If you're new to Pathfinder, what are traits? Traits are tags that go along with feats and other rules. Items and equipment will have traits, and traits are just so Paizo doesn't have to write the same rule over and over and over and over again. So instead of writing this big blurb for what tandem means every time a tandem item or feat comes up, they will simply put the tandem trait on it, and then you can go look up what that rule is if you are unfamiliar with it. So, what does the tandem trait do? They specifically mean that both you and your Eidolon have to act together. If either you or your Eidolon cannot act, you cannot use the tandem trait. So tandem just very much means you and your Eidolon both must be available and able to act to use them. Summoning spells. There are some feats and other abilities of the Summoner that specifically impact summoning spells, so this is just bringing that to the forefront on what they're referring to. And then they have a special rule here on riding sapient creatures, and this is basically for if you're wanting to ride your Eidolon, you are going to lose one action and you will have 2 actions instead of 3. It's also worth noting, and we'll get into this further on in here, but you and your Eidolon share the same action pool. So let's look at their initial proficiencies. You're trained in perception, you're an expert in fortitude and will. You're going to be trained in reflex, so you're going to be good at fortitude and good at will, which again, being good at fortitude as a caster is very unusual. You're trained in 1 skill determined by your Eidolon, and you also get 3 plus your intelligence modifier. Since you're going charisma based, you may not be quite as skill focused as some other casters. You're trained in simple weapons and unarmed attack, so even though you're a little more robust, you still don't have a lot of weapon proficiencies, and you are only trained in unarmed defense, so while you'll have a bigger HP pool, you are still very much a caster and not being armored. And then you get trained in all of your spell attack and spell ranks. So one of the first things you choose at level 1 is an Eidolon, and we will get into that in 201 where we go into the very specifics of your Eidolon. You get a 3 action manifest your Eidolon, and this is how you bring your Eidolon into the world around you. It must remain within 100 feet of you at all times, and it can't willingly go beyond that limit. If forced beyond that limit, or if you're reduced to 0 hit points, your Eidolon's physical form dissolves and it unmanifests back to wherever you summon it from. Now, it's important to know your Eidolon does not have the minion trait or the summon trait, so it is neither of those things. It is truly an extension of yourself. You and your Eidolon will share multiple attack penalties as well as actions. Share senses is a single action. Your Eidolon has to be manifested, and you get to basically watch through your Eidolon. So you can send your Eidolon out that 100 feet, and it can see for you, hear for you, smell for you, and perhaps it's smaller or it's less inconspicuous of a creature than a person walking around. So it can be very useful to get places maybe a player character couldn't get to, but your Eidolon could, and you still get access to knowing what's going on there. And now here we get down to the hit points effect with your Eidolon. So while you are both individual creatures, as far as the board is concerned and targeting, you share a single pool of hit points. So if someone hits your Eidolon, you lose hit points. If someone hits you, you lose hit points. And if you reduce to 0, you both go away. Now here is the interesting thing. If you are caught in an AoE blast, you don't take double the damage. Instead, you take the greater damage. So if you critically succeed, but your Eidolon critically fails, you're taking the critical fail damage. If one of you succeeds and the other fails, you're taking the fail damage. If you both succeed, you just take the damage once on an AoE blast, as an example. This also applies to healing. You only get the healing once if you're in an AoE heal burst. You both don't get to benefit from the healing. Your Eidolon can have gear, but it can't use normal magic items unless they have the Eidolon trait. We kind of mentioned this up above. Your Eidolon gains item bonuses to perceptions and skills for any magical items, however, that you have invested. So if you get a skill boost or a perception boost, your Eidolon gets it. Your Eidolon gets a boost in AC based on your potency or armor runes. And then your Eidolon strikes benefits from you having hand wraps of mighty blows, and will get all the benefits as if they have invested those magic items. Now you might be saying, since you're sharing all of this same pool, what happens about debuffs and other effects like that? Well, if it's something that would alter your action economy, it only affects you once. So if you get slowed and your Eidolon gets slowed, it's only one slow. If both of you get quickened, it's only one quickened. If your Eidolon becomes immobilized, it can't use any of its actions, but you still have access to all 3 of them. If you get immobilized, your Eidolon does not have anyone to command them. Or I guess immobilized, you wouldn't be able to move, but your Eidolon still could. But if you got like petrified or put to sleep or in some other way incapacitated, your Eidolon would not have anyone directing it, so you would not be able to take actions on your Eidolon. Should your Eidolon become confused, you can simply not grant it any of its actions to run amok and cause mayhem. So lots of benefits in there. However, like if your actions are forced and you're confused, you do whatever you're going to do and your Eidolon sits there again because not receiving commands. Now we're into spellcasting. I'm going to scroll back up to the chart because I just think it's easier to display here than trying to talk through it. Essentially, you're gaining magic from your Eidolon, and you have a limited number of spell slots it grants you. And essentially, as you level up, you lose your lower level spell slots. So at level 1, you have 1 first level spell, 2, it's up to 2, 3, you go 2-1, and then it's 2-2. So you can never have more than 4 spell slots. So as a result, when you start gaining access to 4th level spells, you lose your first level spells. Now, the interesting thing you'll note here, once you get to 4 spell slots, you never go less than that. So it's always 2 and 2. So when you drop your 4th level spells, you're picking up 6th level. When you drop your 5th level, you're picking up 7th. So you're always moving up, and you can always slot in lower level spells that you know into the higher slots, but you generally have less casting than a full caster because you have an Eidolon that's pretty robust melee. Your spell repertoire is also a little more complex on a summoner than other classes because you actually lose access to your repertoire as well as your spell slots as you level up. However, swapping in and out is much easier and expected at level, and you can stack higher into the higher level spells that you know instead of the lower level. So what do I mean by that? Well, for instance, the example given here is at 6th level, you would need to keep at least 1 second level spell, but the other 3 that you know could all be 3rd level. So if you only want to have 1 of your lowest level spells in and you have 2 spell slots to cast it from, great. And then have all your other spells at your maximum level, that is an option. So you have a little more flexibility on leaning into the higher, more powerful spells for your limited spell casting. Link spells are the unique focus point spell casting that summoners have access to. You learn 1 link spell for free called Evolution Surge right here. It is a 2 action. Range 100 feet, which is the maximum distance your Eidolon can be from you. How curious. And it is a 1-minute buff. And you get to choose one of these effects to boost your Eidolon. You can grant them low light or dark vision. They can gain scent. They can breathe underwater and gain a swim speed, or just simply get a 20-foot bonus to speed in general. This does get more powerful at 3rd and 5th here, which we're going to need to expand out so we can see it all. At 3rd, when you hit them with this, they become large and they get a reach, or they can gain a climb speed equal to their land speed. And then at 5th level, your Eidolon can become huge instead of its previous size, and your reach for your Eidolon is now up to 15 feet, or you can grant your Eidolon a fly speed. So just a pretty good way to just buff your Eidolon and keeping it very relevant. You also get the boost Eidolon cantrip. So this is a focus point cantrip, so you can just keep going. You don't have to worry about your focus pool. But this gives a +2 status bonus for unarmed attacks on your Eidolon, and this increases as they get more weapon dice. So it's just really a quick bonus to make sure your Eidolon is getting the maximum amount of hit potential. You also get a unique feat called an evolution feat, which is separate from your general class feat. Perception boost at 3, normal skill increases, unlimited signature spells. So this is worth noting. All of your spells are signature spells. So anytime you're taking a spell, it automatically is going into all of your potential level casting spell slots. So again, where we were talking about you could load everything into your highest level spell slot, well, because they're signature spells, if they scale, you're going to get all of those spells available to you with your lower level casting slots as well. At 5, your Eidolon's getting expert proficiency in its attacks. At 7, you're getting Eidolon Symbiosis, and this is a unique ability that each Eidolon gets, so it's going to open up at 7. Weapon specialization for your Eidolon's attacks, expert spellcasting at 9, getting expert proficiency at 9 for reflex saves, normal weapon and armor boosts at 11. You're also getting Twin Juggernaut, and this basically boosts your fortitude saves from successes to critical successes. So again, a caster that is going to be very good at the fortitude stuff. 13, you're getting your armor boost, as well as mastery and unarmed attacks from your Eidolon. Weapon specialization continues to improve. At 15, you're getting will saves boosted from successes to critical successes, and this is also true for your Eidolon. At 17, you're getting the Eidolon's capstone feature, as well as an ability score boost, mastery and spellcasting. And then the capstone class ability at 19 is you are getting to summon your Eidolon as a single action instead of a 3 action. So just a nice way to be able to get your Eidolon into the fight if they haven't been. So guys, that's Summoner 101. As you can see, a little bit more robust in the chassis because it is a more complicated class, but it does have quite a bit of power in being able to have decent amount of magic access as well as good offensive melee capability through your Eidolon. So once again, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below, leave a comment, easiest way to support the channel, and I'm going to wish you a fantastic time on your 20-sided adventures. We'll catch you next time.